I'm Glen, Cerny, and welcome to the second program in a series at KRWG we've called A New Era of Excellence, Profiles in Leadership. As a public media station, KRWG's mission statement says we'll strive to engage community development by providing relevant news in a forum for open discussion. When it comes to community development, without question, New Mexico State University has the capability to be a major catalyst. In light of the recent dramatic change in the top leadership at NMSU, we thought it would be helpful to introduce you to some of the principals involved in taking the university into the future. In our first segment, we presented two new deans, Dr. Krista Slayton of Arts and Sciences and Dr. Ricardo Jaquez of the College of Engineering. Our final show will feature an extended interview with the new president, Barbara Couture. During this segment, we'll sit down with the Dean of Education, Dr. Michael Moorhead, and Provost, Dr. Wendy Wilkins. As recent elections have shown, there are few topics hotter in national discussion than education. It is a major expenditure for New Mexico, yet the state lags behind in many key indicators. Of all the academic schools on campus, none may be facing an immediate challenge of teaching teachers. Dr. Michael Moorhead came to Las Cruces in 1992. Having served as both Associate and Interim Dean of the College of Education, he is well known on campus. But let's start by introducing you to Dr. Michael Moorhead from the recently remodeled O'Donnell Hall. My first question is I want you to go back to, April 12th, 2010, when finally, after having been somewhat of a permanent interim for a long, long time, you were named Dean of the College of Education at New Mexico State University.
Well, obviously, it's a tremendous honor and a privilege to be the dean of a great college and work at a tremendous university like New Mexico State University. After being the interim in '99 and 2000, and then again for about 20 months prior to being appointed, there wasn't a big change in my day-to-day life or the day-to-day routines. I was pretty much up to speed on most of the issues and the needs of the college and the types of things that and the direction that we wanted to take in the college.
A native of St. Louis.
That's correct.
What were some of your early experiences that helped shape Michael Moorhead?
Well, I think anybody, as they grow into a human being, are really shaped by their parents. And my father and mother had a tremendous impact on my development as a young man. My mother was outgoing and gregarious and interacted with people in a very positive way. My father was reflective, analytical, very hardworking, both of them. They were very committed to their children, my brother and I, making sure that we were successful. They sacrificed often for us so that we could go to the schools that they felt that would help best prepare us for life. And so as I watched their lives and as they modeled for me the things they did on our behalf and for the community, I think those are the two individuals that really helped shape who I became as I moved into young adulthood.
I found it interesting that when you were named Dean, one of the things that you cited that you hoped to accomplish was to create a sense of community for the students. Can you expand on that and explain why you feel that's important?
Well, obviously, the students are the focus of what we do in terms of preparing individuals to be teachers, speech pathologists, counselors, school leaders, and so on. And we need to create a little better sense of community. Our programs require our students to take coursework in a variety of colleges. And unlike possibly agriculture or engineering, where they take the bulk of their work in the College of Engineering or the College of Agriculture, they take a wide variety of coursework outside of the College of Education. So sometimes it's difficult for some of our students to feel that sense of the community. So one of the goals would be to try to assist in enhancing that opportunity. We're going to recreate our advisory council to the dean. We'll probably be doing some things in the future to bring students together in social environments and so on, and in the next couple of years. So we're looking forward to doing that.
5 area focuses that you identified. Mm-hmm. Let me just knock them off and get your reaction. Research, you've already kind of touched on that, but the importance of research in what we're doing at New Mexico State.
I think one of the things that we would like to accomplish as a college over the next 5 years would be to be responsive to the needs of the state, either in research policy analysis or being able to do studies for the state that would assist us in making appropriate decisions about educational issues, educational trends. So that would be one of the areas. In addition to that, we want to continue to foster the great research that our faculty do individually in their own disciplines, because we have several scholars that are nationally known in their field, and we are right now an early career faculty. We have a lot of assistant and associate professors, and so they are on the cusp of laying the foundation to be able to build their own research agendas and to become nationally prominent in their fields. And we want to foster and encourage that, give those faculty the opportunity to do that.
The second one you mentioned, to me, as an outsider looking in, seems so obvious, because if you aren't working with Hatch and Las Cruces and Gadsden
Correct.
School districts, but partnerships, you listed as one of your priorities or concerns.
We already have tremendous partnerships. We have numerous outreach and professional development activities. For example, this summer we have, in collaboration with the College of Arts and Sciences, the College of Engineering, and in some cases on our own projects, over 800 teachers that we will be providing professional development for in the building here in O'Donnell Hall and in other sites around the state. So what we try to do through those professional development activities is to work with those schools, determining what the needs are in the areas of math and science, and we want to grow our literacy support in the future. And then in addition to that, working with counselors and future educational leaders in their professional development. So we identify the needs, and that's part of the partnership. And in collaboration, we sometimes provide those programs, and then sometimes we assist the districts in identifying where they best can provide those and get the assistance they need.
Again, one that's kind of obvious with our geography, location here, but dealing with border education.
I think border education really has become more of a national issue in the last 8 to 9 years, and we're extremely well positioned with the knowledge of our faculty and the student population that we work with to be able to have an impact. We find when we have school districts that are recruiting our students, they're recruiting our students because of their work in very diverse communities, because of the preparation our college gives them in terms of understanding the needs of diverse communities and the impact the culture and language has on the development of the child. And so we see national recruitment of our students, of our graduates.
Being in public media, I have great empathy when you say trying to incorporate technology. Would it please stop moving so we could figure it out for a moment? But obviously in education you're confronted with many of those same issues.
Well, technology is never going to stop moving, and it's going to really impact our profession in a way that we can't even predict today. To give you a very good example, we really got aggressively into distance learning about 6 years ago. It was a very small part of our academic program. Today it's 20 to 23% of the students and the credit hours that we produce or we work with in terms of it are participating in distance delivery. And the distance delivery technology right now is still at a very early age in its development. So when it becomes even more sophisticated, that means that there's going to be more demand by students and more demand by the communities to have access and to have the education provided that way. So we have to be on the cutting edge. So part of our goals would be to partner with the companies and to become friends with the companies that are involved in developing the technology that's going to be impacting the way we educate people in the future. And by doing that, we hopefully will then assist them in guiding it in a way that might actually help it provide for better educational opportunities, provide for a little better pedagogy, and so on.
Well, you just did a nice job of leading to your last one, external support, which I know also means financial, but working with people that are developing curriculum and technology, I would guess, falls into that external support as well.
Well, external support has a variety of meanings, and you defined it fairly well. First, we often think about it in terms of finance and donors and those types of things. And we've grown our endowment significantly. We have a tremendous amount of support from our own faculty and our staff in terms of providing dollars and scholarship dollars. And so we're very proud of that growth. but we still need, our students come to us often with not a lot of strong economic background and a lot of family financial support because the money's just not there. So we need assistance in terms of providing scholarships for our students. We need to increase our endowed chair opportunities. We just hired our literacy endowed chair. We just named a faculty member this past week. She accepted the position. Sarah and Don Kidd endowed that, and we're very, very excited about that. So we need to continue to look at opportunities to give our faculty recognition through endowments of some type, but really also partnerships with agencies that we just talked about. How do we relate to those organizations? How do we relate to external groups that are outside the traditional educational arenas? And that means working with business and industry. For example, I'm on the board of the Bridge of Southern New Mexico, which is a linkage to the community in terms of economic development, in terms of linking schools and the community college and New Mexico State together in building partnerships in such a way that we can actually enhance the educational opportunities, increase access.
You and I have had the chance to talk about education broadly on a number of occasions, and I can say without hesitation, anybody that believes that sitting in your third floor office at O'Donnell Hall, you are out of touch with what's happening down on the ground of teaching. But what do you see as the immediate challenges confronting education, and one that's been in the news, is receiving a lot of attention, is the dropout rate that we have in especially southern New Mexico?
Well, the dropout rate or retention issues have always been a significant issue for education. If you look at what was occurring in the 30s and 40s, we had many children that were not educated, or we didn't even attempt to educate, and we weren't overly concerned about students leaving high school at that time. But today things have changed, and a high school education and a 2-year education are just barely enough to be able to be successful and to make a reasonable living. So our goal as a college, and that's one of the reasons we helped facilitate the early college high school and working with the school districts and other agencies to try to identify best practices, best opportunities to keep children in school, to keep them interested in school, to find alternatives for those who are saying school isn't for me at this stage, and to provide options for them. So part of what we hope to do with our research, and part of what we hope to do as part of our leadership in that area over the next several years, is to look at retention programs that are successful, provide that information to our partners, and to help facilitate their development.
Two-part question. What does Dean Dr. Michael Moorhead hope to accomplish in his first year here as Dean of the College of Education?
That's a really good question. I want to establish the foundation so that we can then accomplish those 5 goals we've talked about. I want to look at how we want to study and look at how we can improve our research, our responsiveness to the state. I want to look and analyze and prepare how we can enhance the technological access of our faculty, instructional technology for our students, understanding the use of that. Want to continue to build partnerships, enhance those. Those are already extensive, but we want to look at opportunities to find other partners that might be non-traditional. We want to so those 4 or 5 goals that we've outlined when we're talking about the direction, we're going to lay the foundation to move into the phase of implementation.
Jump 5 years ahead. What do you hope to have accomplished?
Well, you want to leave a place better than when you came in. So I think the one fundamental thing when I walk out the door, or if I'm here, at the end of the first 5 years, because you don't know what 5 years will bring, but that's a pretty good timeline, and that would give me 6 or 7 years, counting the interim time period. But he left it a better place than it was when he came in.
Dr. Michael Moorhead, Dean of Education. In conducting the 5 interviews for these programs, it became very evident that each truly hit the ground running. Whether they had previously been a part of the New Mexico State family like Drs. Moorhead and Jaques, or a new member of the NMSU community, each was confronted with a steep learning curve. Our next interview is with Dr. Wendy Wilkins, the university's provost. While she may have second thoughts about letting us conduct the interview in her office, we were greeted with a sense of humor and a high level of vitality in her approach for the job. The NMSU provost, Wendy Wilkins. Dr. Wendy Wilkins. Wendy, first of all, welcome to Las Cruces in New Mexico State, and thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today.
Thank you.
Can I ask a real basic question for those that see the title of Provost and go, what in the world is that? Since you have now been one at 2 universities, could you give us kind of a thumbnail sketch of exactly what a provost does?
Well, the serious answer is the academic vice president. So the vice president responsible for the academic enterprise. But one of the deans at my prior institution actually had what I think is the best definition for the provost. And it's that the provost is the person who makes the university what the president always says it is. So I think that's a pretty good one.
I was going to use something a little less lofty and say, if I said dean of deans, would that probably have sufficed?
Well, actually, what I've said to school children occasionally is I'm the one who gets to boss the deans around, except that we all know that nobody can really boss deans around. So what's a little bit different with the position here is that the provost is also the executive vice president. And what I've shared with some of my colleagues is that I'm trying to figure out what exactly that part is. So I think that's still, I'm still learning what that means. So often the provost is the vice president who's sort of the first among equals. And one of the responsibilities of the provost is to be in charge when the president is unavailable. So it's very important that no emergencies happen when the president isn't available. That's one of my requirements.
Can we talk a little bit about childhood memories, activities, interests, other than perhaps academic?
Well, I had two passions as a youngster. One was to be a ballerina, and the other was to be a cowboy. And I tried to do those simultaneously, and it was like living 2 lives because I couldn't let Mrs. Sussman, the ballet teacher, know that I was hanging out with the cowboys. And I certainly couldn't let the kids I was riding with, doing barrel racing and the like, know that I was taking ballet. So it was an unusual childhood.
It's difficult being a dainty roughneck,
yeah.
Isn't it?
Exactly. Yes. And in fact, when I first went away to college, I went to Bennington College in Bennington, Vermont. This was after I was growing up in the Phoenix area. And it was the first time I had to leave my horse at home. So I had taken my horse with me away to high school. I went to a boarding school where I was allowed to take my horse. When I went away to college, I had to leave the horse behind. But I went to be a dance major.
Let's change the subject more to academics and what drew you into this field.
I applied to college on an early admissions program to be a dance major, and that was the only college I applied to. But prior to actually moving to college, I tore up my knee pretty badly. But off I went to be a dance major, sort of one-legged. And that didn't work out so well. So it turned out to be a lucky accident because I would never have been a great dancer. But I got into linguistics by accident because I thought it involved learning a lot of languages. And the other thing I'd done at school that I'd enjoyed was study Spanish. So when I left Bennington College, I ended up going to UCLA because I'd moved to Los Angeles, and chose linguistics thinking that I could learn a whole bunch of languages doing that, which is not what linguistics is about. But when I did find out what it was about, I thought it was great. So it was by accident that I did that. And then the first part of my academic career, after a first job at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, I moved to Mexico City, and I was, for 7 years, I was a faculty member in Mexico. Then when I wanted to get back into American academe, the first permanent position I got was at a university that didn't have a linguistics department at Arizona State. So my idea was to be there just long enough to move to a real university, meaning one with a linguistics department. But I was offered an administrative position, and I thought, well, okay, I'll give that a try. And I've been doing that ever since. So that was kind of by accident.
You mentioned academic position in Mexico City, but also spent time at Michigan State as well, and then discovered that winters weren't necessary and went to North Texas. How did those experiences at both MSU and North Texas really prepare you for what you see your job is here at New Mexico State?
Well, actually, Michigan State was really my sort of induction into the land grant mission. Everything that Michigan State does in terms of branding itself and strategically thinking about its programs is shaped by being what they claim to be the premier land grant university. And they use premier in an interesting way, but the land grant ethos there really does permeate the work there, and that was very inspiring. I feel like being at UNT was my practice provost position. So I had a very fine mentor there. The president who hired me, Gretchen Bataille, had herself been a dean and a provost and a system vice president. So she was a wonderful mentor, and she actually was mentored by the same dean that I was. So she and I kind of thought about higher education administration very much in the same way. So that was a good working environment, and I'd like to think that I made all my mistakes there, so that in this provost position I'll do it all right.
Well, you mentioned the land grant and that availability of education, and one of the things you stressed when you were named provost at New Mexico State was to strengthen the partnership with the community colleges and make, am I wrong in interpreting that as saying to make education more available to everyone in the state of New Mexico? Is that a fair?
Oh, I think that's part of it, but I don't think it has typically been part of the land grant mission to partner with community colleges. What seems particularly attractive about that to me is four-year institutions, and especially the public research universities, have to figure out how to partner well with community colleges, because it's the community college student population that's growing and growing very, very rapidly. And if we don't figure out the right way to be good partners on both sides, we're doing a disservice to the young people of this country.
Can I look ahead 8-9 months, let's say an academic year that we're in the early stages of here? What do you hope to accomplish here in those first 9-10 months of being in charge of the academic?
Well, actually, the question I've been asked more than any other question since I've been here now all of about 2 weeks. But actually, when I was here for the campus interview, as well as the 2 weeks I've been here now, the most common question I've been asked is, are you going to stay here? So one thing that would be really good about a year from now is if people weren't quite that worried about turnover in the upper administration. So I don't intend to go anywhere. I finally got here. I'm going to stay. And I believe that's the president's attitude too. So she intends to have a serious career here. And I think just that will allow a lot of the projects that are in the works to kind of flower, because people aren't going to be worried that suddenly there's going to be a different direction or a new direction or an interim direction. So I think the amount of change in administration here has been hard on people. So I think that's very important. One of the things I found very compelling as I looked at NMSU from afar, sort of scrolling, if you will, through the website, the Living the Vision document, the strategic initiatives that guided the creation of that, I think, are the right ones. So as we look at deepening partnerships in many ways, both on and off campus, as we look at student success, we really do need to focus on persistence and graduation, and making sure that students graduate from NMSU kind of society ready in a variety of ways. And I think we have the wherewithal to do that, and very good will toward doing that here.
If you were talking to prospective students, what would entice them to come to New Mexico State? As provost, what would you like that reputation in the community to be to prospective students?
Well, I think there's nothing as valuable to a student as a quality degree. So every year that the university improves makes the value of the degree that students got go up. So every time the institution succeeds in some fashion, whether it's a big research grant or a learning initiative that succeeds, or surpassing prior success rates in graduation persistence, any of those things that demonstrate the quality of what we do here, that credential that the student has increases in value. And as we look across the country, I think it's still the case that an American public research university degree is the best there is, especially for the dollar. Okay, so you can pay a whole lot and get the private elite Ivy League credential. And some people want to go that route, but the public research universities in this country do the bulk of education for students in the best possible fashion, because the mission is the right one for a lot of students. For me, well, for a student who really wants very, very broad horizons, the scope of what goes on at a university makes a whole lot of sense. There's some students who want the sort of small liberal arts college kind of focus. So there are students who gravitate toward that. But the mission of liberal arts colleges is very much restricted compared to the big public research institutions. In my experience, most 16, 17-year-olds have some inkling of what they want to do, and then they change their mind 50 times. Well, if you're kind of in an institution that's relatively more limited, you don't see that broad scope of what's available. So I'm a huge proponent of public research land grant. I don't think there's any better place to get an education. So.
My thanks to both Michael Moorhead and Wendy Wilkins for carving out such a large amount of time for us. Again, these sessions were conducted as the semester was looming on the horizon. I'd also like to acknowledge the KRWG Special Production Unit for putting these programs together, and to you for joining us. I'm Glen Cerny, and next time we'll feature an extended interview with the 25th president of NMSU, Dr. Barbara Couture, on A New Era of Excellence, Profiles in Leadership.